Hello and welcome to the Anatomy of the Impact-Focused Sales Process. I am Nancy Matthews, the co-founder of Women's Prosperity Network, and I've been an entrepreneur pretty much most of my adult life. And finding the balance to be able to share my products, services, and programs with others in a non-salesy way has been a learning process and a journey. And what you're about to experience is what we refer to as the impact-focused sales process, which allows you to be able to have conversations with people to discover if they have a need or desire that you can provide a solution to and easily move them along in the process without being salesy. So it's all about finding and serving qualified leads, converting them into sales so that you can make the difference you're here to make. The anatomy of the sales process is a 12-step sequence that I am going to guide you through step by step. I encourage you to take this slowly and really dive in to the meaning and the method in each one of these steps. So we begin with the initial sales process, which is all about making those first follow-up phone calls, which is so much resistance around typically. And the resistance is there because you don't want to be a pest. You don't want to be pushy. You don't want to be salesy. And I don't want you to be any of those things. Neither do your clients. So the purpose and intention for your initial follow-up phone calls is not about making sales. The intention is to connect and build rapport. Be mindful to remind them of where and how you met, and focus on being interested in them. Being interested in them begins with learning how to be a great interviewer. This part of the process is learning to ask questions about their lives in the areas you know that your clients typically have challenges or unmet desires in. So when you get on a call with somebody, you're going to ask questions. For example, if you're a business coach, you might say things like, so how are things going with your business? What is it that you're working on now? Asking questions around the area of your expertise allows you to listen for an opportunity where you may be able to add value. This part of the process needs to be focused on the adjacent ways that if they have a problem, those areas may be affected. So for example, maybe instead of asking an entrepreneur how their business is, which can be very direct, you may ask a question, so what was the last great vacation you took? If there's a financial challenge, perhaps they haven't taken any vacations. So spend some time thinking about your clients, the problem you solve, and how them being in that problem affects and impacts the other areas of their life. Once they identify that they have a challenge or an issue, you then easily transition to what I call the magic phrase. So once they've self-identified areas where you can add value, the transition phase is, well, I might be able to give you some ideas about that. Would it be okay if I asked you a couple of questions? What you've now done is move them into the area of your expertise. And then again, you want to ask additional questions to uncover more specifically what their challenges are. Find out what it's costing them not to have a solution, what they may have tried before that did or didn't work. This will also reveal for you any concerns or objections they have even before ever asking for a sale. Once you're in this process, you've built relationship, you've built rapport, the person has self-identified they have a challenge that you could provide some value to. We then move into stage 5 of building the relationship and asking for the sale, which begins with providing some value. Oftentimes in this phase, People tend to give too much information and too many solutions, which then cause the person to say, okay, I'm good. I'm going to go take those suggestions and implement. The nuance here is to give value by pinpointing and identifying the root of their issue. You don't want to give too much advice here, or they'll feel they don't need you and instead want to go implement what they shared first. So the key here is to identify the problem area you will solve. So for example, as a business owner, if you ask the question, have you taken any great vacations recently? And they said, wow, I haven't been on a vacation in years. I can't remember the last time I had a vacation. It's like, oh, why? How come you haven't had a vacation? So that's that next level of question. Well, I'm so busy in my business. The money's just not there. I can't find the time. They've now identified some pretty significant issues around their business that you could give them coaching and consulting on delegation, on time management, on marketing strategies to bring in more business. So once they've done that, the value you want to give is not to give them the specific strategy on how to change their marketing or how to do better time management and delegation. The giving value piece is, based upon what you've shared with me, it sounds like, first of all, you're overwhelmed and I bet you wish you could have a vacation. I believe that with some focus on some new marketing strategies, learning to delegate, and some adjustment in your time management, that you can actually reclaim your life again and have a thriving business. They will give you agreement at that point, and then you get to do the next magic question to transition to asking for the sale. This is, would it be okay if I now share how we can begin working together or continue working together? And again, the prerequisite for this phase in the process is that you have a high level of rapport. They have said yes and been in agreement with you many times throughout the conversation, and that they are looking for a solution. So once you say, would it be okay if I now share with you how we can continue working together? Then you go and move forward. They will say yes. Move forward with asking for the sale by providing options and pricing. And here it's really key that you know in advance what your solutions are, what your packages and what your pricing is, because this is about being prepared to serve and prepared to receive. And remembering that you are viewed as the expert providing a solution. The suggestion here is to offer two product options, one that may be higher priced than the other. By giving two product options or offerings, this gives the buyer the feeling of power in making a choice between A or B rather than a choice between yes or no. Once you offer the solutions, which could be something such as, well, based upon what you've shared with me, I think either my Illumination Core mentoring and coaching program or my Elite would be the best solution for you. I really think the Core is the best one. So let me explain what that is to you. And then you just go through how this program, course or product, will provide the solution they're looking for. Keep the conversation focused on the results they'll achieve and the benefits to them. Once you go through this and include the price of such program, then you have a very, very important job. And that is to be quiet. This is, again, where challenge can often come in. So I invite you to silently count to yourself. 6 seconds is a good rule of thumb. And allow the silence to give them the space to process what you've just shared so that they can then give you their response. If they don't say anything after 6 to 10 seconds, you may say something like, well, wouldn't you love to be able to say this time next month that this was the best decision you made because you finally got what you wanted? That's how you engage them back in a conversation, only if the silence has gone on for 10 or more seconds. What will next happen is either they'll say, yes, here's my credit card, let's go, Or you may find they have some additional questions, concerns, or objections. And here's where we step into handling concerns and objections. And this is about you being prepared, because we know what the most common objections are. I don't have time. I don't have money. I have to ask my spouse. This isn't for me. I'm already working with somebody. So the homework for you to do is to, in advance, know what those objections are and have solutions for them, and position that solution and response to it with the very famous feel, felt, found, and use personal stories of yourself, how you overcame that concern or how clients have overcome that concern. So using client stories that can overcome an objection are key. So for example, if someone says, "Oh, that sounds really great, but I don't really have the time to do that right now. I'm already so busy. How could I possibly do that?" You want to say something like, "I can only imagine how you feel. My client, Leslie, felt that way too. And what we found was that by working together and giving herself the time and focus and consulting and advice that was available to her, when she kind of took a breath and got out of her own head, she was actually able to move through projects more swiftly, freeing up additional time to grow her business to the next level." So feel, felt, found, using personal stories or client stories of how you overcame the objection. Once you go through that process, it's time to ask for the sale again and say something like, "So now that you've realized that this is easier and simpler than you think, let's go ahead and get started. Which credit card would you like to use?" Again, you may run into some concerns or objections and use the same formula again from feel, felt, found. The last phase in the process is to happily collect your payment, creating those win-win-win scenarios. What's really key here to build the relationship once you've collected their payment is to affirm their great decision using their words of how great they're going to feel when they finally have what they want. And you'll go back to steps 2 and 4 in that questioning process to be able to use their words. This is all about bringing about results for your clients and success for yourself. And I want to remind you of what the great Zig Ziglar had said, that you can have everything in life you want if you will just help other people get what they want. Great salespeople know that we must focus on people, that everything is about the person you're serving and the way that you serve them to bring about the transformation and result that they want. I want to invite you to take a journey with us to the next level and pivot your messaging so that it's more focused on the people that you're serving. So go ahead now. Let's work together at the next step. Go to positionthepivot.com, where we're going to support you in shifting your strategy of how you're speaking with people rather than a vision that you have for how you're serving them. This is going to give you a step-by-step strategy to fulfill your vision and keep your bank account full as well. Enjoy the journey and the anatomy of the impact-focused sales process and this next step in positioning the pivot for your messaging and your marketing. This is Nancy Matthews. Till next time.